Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rockstar direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast. This is Jennie Bellinger, your direct sales dom. And today I am here with Bruce Langford. He is a mindfulness speaker, writer, life coach, consultant, and founder of the Mindfulness Mode Podcast. He has extensive experience in bullying prevention, enabling him to help people who have been bullied or experienced self-bullying. Oh God, that's something I think we all have dealt with at one point or another. And he's also delivered more than 1,700 live presentations, and his writings have appeared in numerous publications. Now, I'm going to get personal with this bio because Bruce and I actually first met 3 years ago at the New Media Summit. And I was absolutely fascinated by what he does. I've listened to his podcast on and off throughout the past 3 years because I know a crap ton of podcasters now, thanks to Steve Olsher and the New Media Summit, right? Yes. But I try to listen when I can, and it's definitely given me some good information. And so, Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jennie. It's great to finally see you again. It's great to be on your show. It's exciting.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm glad that it only took us almost 3 years to make this happen. But
Yes, and I love hanging out with a badass. That's always great.
Nice. Well, and again, I didn't even have the podcast until middle of last year. So that's another thing too. So Bruce, tell everybody a little bit more. Let's pretend like, my listeners have no idea what mindfulness is, or at least let us know, what is your definition of mindfulness?
Well, mindfulness is something that can help you immensely get through challenging times, and it can help us in good times too. My definition of mindfulness, well, it's focusing on the present, focusing on this very moment right now, in this minute, in this instant, and not being as concerned about the past, not being so worried about the future, because man, it's tricky not to do that, isn't it? It's tricky not to be thinking what's coming, what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Or, sometimes we think of what might have happened in the past, and that can influence our thoughts right now. And the other thing is about mindfulness is we can really put some effort into not judging situations, not judging others, because our brain seems to go there a lot, where, you see someone and you think, well, what are they doing? And we start to create this story that is negative. And what happens is it bounces right back to you. And so, in other words, if I see someone or some situation and I start judging it, before long, I find I'm judging myself in my own mind. And that takes me into that self-bullying place. And that doesn't serve any of us if we're beating ourselves up in our own mind. So that's a little bit about what mindfulness means to me, Jennie.
I love it. And, I love in your intro how you talk about self-bullying, because a lot of people, I think, have this idea of the negative things they say to themselves. Most people think of it that way, but I think if by putting it in those terms that you are self-bullying, I think there's a lot of people, like for me, that created, each time I say it now, it's even creating a visceral body reaction to, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to self-bully, right? No. So where did that concept come from? Is that something you've developed, or just it's
something I've developed because I worked in bullying prevention for a long time, did a lot of keynotes, a lot of presentations. And the more I worked in bullying prevention, the more I realized that we do bully ourselves. And a lot of times, some of that self-bullying is what causes us to then take it out on other people. And even with kids, we see kids and we think, oh, that little bully, that kid is being mean. Well, what's going on inside that child's brain? That child is a fellow human being that we need to embrace and love and understand, or try to understand. And a lot of times what's going on in that child's brain is that they are hurting. They are
Mhm.
experiencing fears and hurt. And this comes out of them, and it comes out of them in the form of them, bullying other people, being mean to other people. And if we can get to the bottom of it and have some understanding and some empathy for what that truly means, then, we can all improve as a people, and we can improve the world and the planet and make it a better place.
I think that is incredibly insightful with that idea that, because most people are just looking at the behavior. They're not looking at what's happening inside of the bully. And in this case, especially talking about self-bully, what's happening in your mind? What are you saying to yourself? What are you allowing yourself to think about yourself? So I think that's incredibly impactful, because I know a lot of my listeners are in a position where they are working a full-time or part-time job, plus running their direct sales business, plus being wife, plus being mother, plus being friend, sister, dutiful daughter. Many of us are going through the process of aging parents as well. And so we're oftentimes in such a just get to the next thing, get to the next thing. We don't set aside time to evaluate what's going on here. So when there's negative stuff, we're not challenging it. We're not doing anything to, oppose that self-bullying.
That's right.
So what are some of the ways that, the listeners who are just self-identified with all the things that I listed, how can they begin to get through that and begin to incorporate mindfulness into their life?
Well, there are four key ways that I want to talk about today. And these are four key things that I teach to my coaching clients. So I do a lot of coaching with entrepreneurs and CEOs and project leaders. And with this COVID-19 challenge that we're dealing with, this world pandemic, let me get
Mhm.
this straight, man, these are challenging times. And so these four aspects to mindfulness are so key, and anybody can get started with this. And so I have an acronym, and the acronym is, as I look out at all the different people with their challenges and everything they're going through, I kind of think we can help each other. Amen. We can help each other. And it's not like
Mhm.
an overly religious thing. It's just that this came up as my acronym. And A.M.E.N stands for, number one, assist. Assist each other, help each other. During tough times, what gets us through the most is just being willing to help each other. And the mindfulness aspect of that is that if you are actually putting thought and effort into assisting other people, then you are taking the focus off you and your own ego. And a big part of mindfulness is not being so focused on yourself, but being focused on what's best, being focused on how we can be better people, and being focused on what's positive and helpful. And what's positive and helpful in these times is definitely assisting other people. So if you have an older neighbor who maybe doesn't have a lot of family, you could give them a phone call and say, hey, is there anything I can do for you? And sometimes it's just chatting on the phone for a while that can be the biggest help. So we can all assist each other. So A is the first letter in my A.M.E.N acronym. And the second one is M for meditate. And that may be foreign to a lot of you. That's foreign to a lot of people. We've heard it. We've maybe seen it a little bit on social media or something, with people talking about it. Maybe you think it's a little bit woo woo or something like that. But the bottom line is, learning how to meditate and actually doing it can get you through a lot of tough times and help you to calm yourself and help you to not feel the panic and the stress that so many people are going through. And you might say, yeah, but I can't do that. How do you do that? How do you even do that? Well, first of all, I'm just going to tell you that it's actually easier than you think. Don't get thinking, oh my gosh, it's so difficult, it's so challenging. Don't have those preconceived notions. Just think to yourself, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm a human being and every human being can do this and I can do it too. Because the biggest objection is when some of my clients start to meditate, start to try, they'll come back to me and sometimes say, oh, Bruce, I just can't do this. I found that my brain doesn't work that way. My brain isn't wired that way. And the fact is, that's actually incorrect. Every human being can meditate, but every human being can also have that mindset, that self-bullying mindset that says, oh, Bruce, you can't do that. Your brain is just too busy. We can all do it. Well, all you have to do is, first of all, decide you can do it. Secondly, take a couple of really deep, relaxing breaths and think to yourself, I can do this thing. And then find a place where you're comfortable and your spine is erect and straight. So I suggest maybe a kitchen chair, or if you're comfortable sitting cross-legged, do it, but you don't have to. And a lot of us aren't that comfortable that way. Sit in a comfortable place where you can sit erect and not like sort of sitting back into a couch or something like that. That's not ideal for meditating. And then just close your eyes and just take 30 seconds. And it's great if you just think something positive. Think, this too will pass. That's something positive that you can think if you're experiencing anxiety and stress. This too will pass. And I really recommend guided meditations for people starting out, because a guided meditation someone's voice will be walking you through it and just giving you some things to focus on and to center on. And I just published a guided meditation on mindfulness mode for anyone going through this challenge of anxiety through this pandemic. And that's at mindfulnessmode.com. So you can check that out and use that guided meditation, or you can go on Insight Timer. That's an app that you can download to your phone or your iPad, and that's got great guided meditations on it.
I have to second Bruce on that one. I personally use the Insight Timer. I have a guided sleep meditation that I use every night, to the point where I've now conditioned my brain that as soon as I hear that voice, it's like my whole body I can literally feel it, and I'm asleep in 2 to 3 minutes.
Isn't
I've
that
never
amazing?
heard the end. I've never heard the end of the meditation. I have no idea what he's speaking into my brain.
Wow.
But it's an abundance one. But then I also have a morning literally a 5-minute morning gratitude guided meditation through the Insight that is so easy, because it does help get me centered and ready. And I start my day with thankfulness, which is a much different thing than starting your day with, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? Right? Start my day with being thankful. And then I am then grateful for my to-do list and all the wonderful things I get to do. So I highly recommend that, but also listen to Bruce's, because the man's an expert. So.
And I have a sleep meditation on Insight Timer too. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and they've said, Bruce, I've never heard the end of yours either. They say, some of them have laughed and they say, Bruce, as soon as I hear your voice, I want to go to sleep, because they're so used to hearing that meditation.
That's great. I didn't know you were on there I'm going to be finding you now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because Insight, for those of you who don't know, Insight is an app that has something like over 1,000 guided meditation experts who are there and available. So you can find one that fits your needs, but Bruce is on there. So go find him. Hey, that makes it even easier. So let's continue with your acronym then. So the assist each other, meditate.
Yeah. And the next one is exercise. So don't forget, when we're in tough times or not, we all need to be moving our body. We all need to have that exercise. And don't forget, the exercise not only feeds your body, it feeds your brain. And we need to have those endorphins operating, those endorphins feeding us so that we feel good. And, like we can all get caught up in what's going on in the news now and all of this. And it is very disconcerting. It's very upsetting. And so we have to get an exercise routine that we can keep moving with. And maybe that's just walking for 45 minutes a day. Maybe it's just walking for 10 minutes, whatever works for you. Maybe it's swimming. Maybe it's going to the gym and going on a machine or something like that, or lifting weights. But exercise is vital, and especially at this point, and especially just to keep something going as a routine. And it's so much easier once you get a habit going and you put that habit in place and you just automatically do the habit, just like you were talking about, Jenny, with your morning routines and your meditation. And what's your exercise look like, Jenny?
Well, it's been a little bit of a change recently.
Yeah.
Usually I'm into yoga just because I have hip restrictions from doing more active type stuff. So I do yoga. And then right now I'm taking my kids for walks around the block. And,
Yeah.
when I can, I go jump on the trampoline with them and, just playing with my kids, getting active with them. They have a dance video game that we play. So that gets me up and moving. So that's our PE.
Yeah, and there's so much
this
stuff
week.
on YouTube. If you use YouTube, and you can bring up exercises, and kids love Just Dance. I think it's
Oh
called
yeah.
Just Dance, isn't it?
Yep,
On
that's
YouTube.
exactly the one. It's
Yeah.
my kids love it, and they like. I told them that was their PE for homeschooling, and they
Mhm.
were like, "Yes!" They're like, "We get a video game for PE." Yep,
Yeah, and I love
because
that you
it's
have a
raining here right
trampoline.
now.
Oh, is
So
it raining? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, because
that's one of the way
trampolining
we're
is
doing it.
awesome too. It really is. And I have a mini trampoline, and I go on that in the mornings. That's part of my morning routine. And it's great. It gets your body loosened up. It gets you moving, and you can jump as much as you want. And that is a great exercise too.
It's really good. Gets your heart going, and
Hmm.
it does create some weight bearing on the bones, which is really good for your bones.
Yeah,
So
it is.
good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff. What about the N
The
in
N,
Amen?
I bet you can guess what the N is. The N is nature. We
Mm.
all can be fed by nature. And it's just incredible how you can feel if you go out on a little treed pathway, or you walk by a river, or go to the beach, or, you know, see the mountains. And, you might be able to look out your window and see nature. You might be able to look at a plant in your own house. Certainly you can go on YouTube and bring up a beautiful nature video, and that can take us to nature if you don't have it outside your window. But it's unbelievable what nature does for our body and for our brain. It feeds us. So if you can combine any of those things, if you can combine exercise with nature and get out there and go for a little jog on a nice calm area in a
Mhm.
park or something, that can be great. But nature is something that truly feeds us. And sometimes we forget, because we're living these busy lives full of all kinds of activities, and we forget to just stop and look at a leaf, stop and look at a tree, and think of how miraculous it is that it even exists.
Right. Yeah. And not to be cliched, but stop and smell the flowers because it's
Hmm.
springtime,
Yeah,
everybody. My
that's right.
favorite flowers are coming up right. I don't know where you guys are in the country, but for me, my favorite flowers are daffodils. So this is one of my favorite time of year because I've got all my daffodils around my whole house are already starting to bloom. And then it's a bright yellow color, which is like, I'm pretty sure yellow is like the happiest color out there.
Definitely.
I don't know about what you guys think, but for me personally, that's a happy color, a happy thing. And being outside, I think even if you can't get outside for whatever reason, like for example, if it's raining and you're not someone who likes to go dance in the rain, just imagining what it feels like to have the sun on your skin. Cause I've been through guided meditations where they literally take you through that. Imagine you're at the beach, feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and visualization. So if you literally put yourself on a beach, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, feeling the sand in your toes, like all of that, the more senses you can incorporate in that visualization, your brain doesn't know any different. And just you can listen to the sound of the waves. And even if you have to pull up a YouTube, like he said, of ocean waves. So you can put yourself mentally completely in that place, and your whole system will slow down, right?
Absolutely. And one thing I want to mention, and I could have mentioned this during exercise, but I can mention it during the nature part, is no matter what you're doing, remember to breathe, because
Mm.
those deep breaths feed us. And, we all breathe, but a lot of us spend time not breathing very deeply and not really feeding our body with the oxygen that it deserves to have. And you deserve to have this delicious, life fulfilling oxygen. So I do, special breathing routines every day, and they really help me to feel so much better. And so always remember through all of this to just take a few minutes, close your eyes, and just take in as much air as you can. And I like to do breathing sessions of at least 30 of those very deep, relaxing breaths. And that'll
Mm.
take you to a much more relaxed place where you're feeling so fed. You'll feel so much better. So just allow yourself, you deserve it, to have those deep breaths.
And I think that's an important thing for people to understand. In these times right now, we feel like we're doing so much for everybody else, and you can't pour from an empty cup. We've said
No.
it time and again on this podcast. You've got to fill your cup. And mindfulness, these breathing exercises, 5 minutes of meditation will help refill your cup so you can pour into others. So, Bruce, is there anything else that you want to share about for your podcast where people can get in touch with you, or Insight Timer? So if they decide they would like more information about how to meditate effectively, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. You can send me an email, bruce@mindfulnessmode.com. And I would love to send you a special guided meditation. If you send me a message and put Jennie Bellinger's name on the subject line, then I will send you a special guided meditation for free. There's no strings attached at all. I'm just thrilled to help other people. That's what I've been doing for years with all the bullying prevention and everything. There's nothing that feeds me more than helping other people. So send me an email, bruce@mindfulnessmode.com, with Jennie's name in the subject line, and I will send you a guided meditation just for you to use. And just remember that mindfulness can help you through all of this. And it can
Mhm.
also help you to listen to my podcast, Mindfulness Mode. So you can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on any app, Spotify. Just look up Mindfulness Mode, and there are some very, very insightful interviews on there. I'm sure that will feed your soul as well. Jennie, it's been
Absolutely.
awesome being on your show.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much, Bruce, for volunteering to come on. Because during these times, I was like, oh man, we got to get somebody on who can help calm people down. I think
Yes.
that's a really important thing right now. Because, again, when people feel this stressed, anxious, obviously some people are feeling panic mode. If we can just find some ways to help them through this process by talking them through it and giving this opportunity. So thank you so much for volunteering your time, because that's a really big deal. So thank you so much, Bruce, for being here. And everybody, I want you to know that all of Bruce's contact information, including a link to his podcast, is in the show notes. So make sure you go ahead and scroll to that part of the page here on your phone, because I know you're all listening by phone. Scroll to that page and you can go directly to his link and subscribe, rate, and review for his podcast as well. So thanks again, Bruce, for being here. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thanks for what you do for all your listeners. That's wonderful, Jennie.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, everybody. That's another episode of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast. Get ready for another kick-ass episode.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.